cringy OCs be like?
Yeah, so I'm an overpowered human/alicorn thingy. My hair is a combination of rainbow colors that will make your eyes bleed, but that's just because it's magical, so back off. Both of my eyes are different shades, but I'm super mysterious. You can only see one of them at a time. And yeah, my teeth are really sharp, because why not? I'm obviously a princess, so duh, I wear a crown, but don't you dare ask me about my royal family, because my past is super complicated and you'd never understand. All my life, I've been an outcast because I have superpowers, so everyone's scared of me. And I have no friends because I walk the boulevard of broken dreams alone. Nobody likes me, so I'm a total loner. I wear black clothes to match the color of my soul. My crush is from a video game, and if you say you like him more than I do, then I'll end you. I never leave home without my oversized magic amulet that keeps me from going insane and hurting people. If you're afraid of me, you should be. Rawr.
Well guys, meet Raven Sparkle Rain Shimmer Dust. This is the cringiest OC that I could think up during the time that I decided to take on this challenge, and believe me, it took me a while, because the artist in me wanted to just fix all of these things that I didn't like about this character, but that is not the project. The project is to create a cringy character, which was a little bit more challenging for me than I had originally anticipated. However, I didn't want to just make this video and poke fun at what some might find to be an actual legitimate original character. I wanted to be able to show you some of the common mistakes that people make when coming up with an original character, and then kind of go back and look at how to fix those things so that you can take a character that you like and make them even better. And when I say even better, I mean making a character that you might like into a character that other people might like, which can be really hard at times. Often we draw something super cool and we're like, oh my gosh, I love this, it's the best thing ever, and then we show it to other people, or we open it up to a viewing audience, or we ask for a peer review, and we don't get the best results back. Now that doesn't mean that you haven't created something awesome. A lot of times people have a great base, but they lose sight of where they're going along the way. And I can point out exactly where that process went wrong with this OC. So buckle down and see how I fix Raven Sparkle Rain Shimmer Dust. Here we go. So one of the first things that you might notice about this OC is probably the hair, or just the rainbow hues throughout the character. And while rainbow hues can be really, really cool, they have to be used sparingly and in the right contrast. In fact, I even have a pony OC who has a rainbow mane. But the super important thing to remember when you're using rainbow elements is not to overdo it. And believe me, it's a very common mistake. In the case of my unfortunate cringy OC here, you can see that not only is her hair rainbow hues, but there are also other elements on her character that are rainbow colors, including that oversized magic amulet and these weird little feather things that I decided to add to the wings. Now, I'm not saying that that wasn't a cool idea in essence, or even in theory, but what I'm saying is it's too much for this character. Your eyes are going everywhere, they don't know where to focus. So the first thing I would do with this character is to simplify things, and to take a lot of these clashing colors and mute some and highlight others. One way I like to do this is by dulling down the colors in the hair. You can add some highlights and some lowlights and allow that hair to look a little bit more cohesive without pulling your eyes to all of these elements. Again, I'm just going to dull down these colors so that it doesn't seem so loud. And the same thing for the wings. I don't think that there need to be rainbow feathers in here at all. Again, it's just too much to look at, so I'm going to take those away and then simplify the wings altogether. Personally, I don't really mind a character with two different colored eyes, but if you are going to use two different colors for both of the eyes, I would make them lighter colors that aren't going to pull too much attention away from our centerpiece, which in this case happens to be our character's hair. The next thing I would eliminate altogether is the sharp teeth. Unless your character is a vampire or something, I wouldn't give them sharp teeth just to be edgy. It's definitely not needed, and in this case it actually complicates my small mouth. By trying to shove teeth in there, it ends up looking kind of strange, so again, I'd get rid of that altogether. Next, we have this overly loud crown, and now I'm not saying that this is a bad crown, but I'm saying that the color choices for this crown are bad color choices. And that's because, once again, there's just too much going on. If you're going to have something that is as intricate as our character's hair, you have to double down on competing elements. And in this case, that crown either has to go or we need to revamp it altogether. So once again, I am going to change the colors until they complement the rest of the design. Moving right along, we have her overly black hoodie. And while there's nothing inherently wrong about entirely black clothes, they are hard on the eyes. Now our character has light skin and she has bright hair, so yes, you could use darker clothing. But I find that it would look a lot nicer if I used lighter colors. With a dark color, you really can't even tell what she's wearing, which in this case, as you can see as I lighten this up, is actually a hoodie. And again, a hoodie is not wrong. We can totally use that, but I wouldn't go with the drastic color choice. After all, everything else about this character screams light and sunshine, so the last thing we want to do is make them look like they're going to a funeral for no reason other than being edgy. After we've made changes to the wardrobe, it's time to look at the accessories. And in this case, that happens to be the horn that I've added and this magic amulet that is taking up our character's neck. Now, there is nothing wrong with jewelry, don't get me wrong. In fact, I love to adorn my characters. But the important thing is, if you do use jewelry, it should be complementary to your character's design. So, unlike this magic amulet, it should be small enough that it's not going to draw your eyes to an unnecessary portion of their anatomy. And in this case, my OC's neck is almost completely obscured by her hair. You can't really see the outline. Therefore, this magic amulet is definitely taking up space that might be better used if it were allowed to be open. But if we don't want to get rid of this thing altogether and it really is important to the character's story, then I would just make it a little bit smaller so that it doesn't draw too much attention and also gives a better view of our character's neck. After all, there may be cringy male vampire OCs out there who need to see what's available. So we'll free up some space for them so they can gaze adoringly at that neck. Transferring our attention to the horn, it's not a bad horn. But unfortunately, it's using colors that again are just too much. Once again, this pink and blue color scheme is really taking away from the overall rainbow theme. So I'm going to pick two other colors that don't take too much attention away from where I want my viewers' eyes to be focused. Remember, if you're going to pick a theme for your OC, you need that theme to be congruent throughout the character's design. And guys, in the case of Raven Sparkle Rain Shimmer Dust, that's from the tip of her horn to the bottom of her toes. Next, I want to talk about the backstory. Now, I know a lot of you might have interesting characters who have interesting backstories, and I am one and the same. I came up with two characters who were my very first OCs that I premiered on this channel, which for longtime viewers, they will know that was September Rim and January Fringe, and initially I was totally called out, not only for their backstory, but for their design, and for a few other points that definitely took me a while to come to terms with. Now, I was just starting out, and I really hadn't given very many people the opportunity to get to know these two very well. So at face value, they may have seemed cringy to my viewing audience back then. But for those of you who still watch my content and have been here since the very beginning, you'll know that they are now two of the most popular OCs on my entire channel. So what took these two from being called Mary Sue's and edgy OCs to being so incredibly famous and beloved by a lot of my followers and subscribers? Well, it's interesting, but there was just one element, and that was a good backstory. Once people realized why it was that January was actually an alicorn, and once people got over the fact that September was wearing a muzzle and began to ask why, these were the questions that took my OCs from being subpar to being super interesting. And believe me, it's all just clever storytelling. If you can find a story that draws your viewers in, something that resonates with them, then you can keep a captive audience just like a performer. Good storytelling is the key to any great OC, and I can tell you that over a lifetime of experience. The more you tell people about a character, the more interested they are. But remember, everything in your character's backstory has to have a reason. It can't just be because. And that's where Raven Sparkle Rain Shimmer Dust has fallen short. There are key elements to her character that just don't go any further than being skin deep. She tells you that she's a princess, but she won't talk about her past, and she already discredits you by saying that you wouldn't understand anyway. And guys, that's just a cop-out. If you have a backstory, share it. Especially if your OC is as interesting as ours is. You need a little bit of an explanation. The next thing she mentions is that she has superpowers and she scares people and nobody wants to be her friend, that she's a loner, and that's kind of her entire existence. Now, if you have a character that does have these characteristics, I'm not saying you're wrong. In fact, it's not wrong to have a character who's a loner, who likes to be alone, or who enjoys solitude. That just means they're an introvert like me. What I'm saying is, you have to cultivate this kind of a character. You have to allow them chances to show who they are, and what it was that made them that way. A good OC will have a reason behind everything, and the more reasons you provide, the more people have a chance to sympathize with your character. So again, more information is totally key. I'll admit I did add the bit about a video game crush because on the internet it seems like there is always some cringy fan fighting over a character that literally has the freedom to be loved by all. I don't really understand where this comes from, but it is definitely cringy in more ways than one. Now, this doesn't mean your character can't show interest in video game characters, but I would stay away from the being open to having a brawl with anybody who wants to say that they enjoy the same thing. Having a beatdown over a video game character that doesn't technically exist is definitely cringy. Guys, please don't do this. Moving on down my list, I want to touch on clothing choices again. Now, I am not a fashion expert in any way, but I can tell you that what you put on your character matters a lot. And I'm not just talking about accessories, which we touched on before, but clothing choices in general. I thought it would be funny to put "send help" on my character's shirt because that is what she needs and what she will get by the end of this video. But if you are choosing clothes and choosing graphics or choosing text to put on a shirt or a hoodie or whatever it is, please be tasteful. Nothing screams cringe more than clothing that's undeniably edgy for absolutely no reason. After all, our character here is a princess. She should be wearing pretty things. Even if she has a crazy past, alright, let it go. Fashion is expression. But no, don't show us the darkness of your soul. Maybe show us the brightness of your imagination, or something. Next, I want to touch on this whole "I'm big, I'm bad, beware" thing. I don't know where this came up, and I do know that it can be done tastefully, but you have to do it the right way. Your character shouldn't be screaming danger. What they do, what they say, how they act, those should be the things that make them dangerous to other characters, or that make them dangerous to viewers. Remember, explanation is everything. So don't just write off your character, give them a few traits and titles, and call it a day. Believe me, no one is going to be drawn in by that. In fact, a lot of people will dismiss it because it's just too simple. And there's nothing keeping them there to learn more. If you have a character that's really meant to inspire fear, design them in a way that reflects that, and then give them ample chances to show that to your viewing audience. This can be done through carefully drawn pictures, animations. I've even seen people go and explain their character's story through like webtoon style manga edits, and that's awesome. Give your viewers and give your audience a chance to see what your OC is made of. One picture, like the one I drew below, is definitely not going to do it, at least not without a few fixes. Use your space artfully. Give your viewers something exciting, something that makes them ask questions, that makes them want to know more. Those are the OCs that, just like mine, become more and more interesting over time, and tend to gain a larger audience than most other OCs. The last thing I want to mention is this name, okay? I don't know why all edgy characters happen to have the name Raven, but that seems to be a common theme, so I'm just gonna throw that out there. Maybe don't use Raven, there's just a negative connotation. But Raven, Sparkle, Rain, Shimmer Dust is a mouthful of a name. It is way too hard to remember, and I highly doubt that fans are going to remember that even if they've heard it 3 or 4 times. Your name means everything. It should complement your design, and it should be catchy enough and interesting enough to stake a place in your viewer's mind, hopefully even long after they've turned off their computer. Though I will have to say, if Raven, Sparkle, Rain, Shimmer Dust is stuck in your guys' minds, I really feel sorry for you. That is the last point on today's video. If you have enjoyed this interesting deep dive into cringy OCs and what makes them so cringy, and my redesign of my cringy OC, I'm just gonna say it one more time because I can't stop saying it. Now that I've said it, I have to continue saying it. Raven Sparkle Rain Shimmer Dust. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, I've considered doing interesting videos like this again, where I either redesign your guys' OCs or I redesign other OCs that I haven't shared on this channel yet that I created in my cringy days. We'll see where that goes. But if you enjoyed this, feel free to drop me a comment and let me know, or smash that like button because that helps us, or subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And I think I've said everything, haven't I? I mean, hit the dislike button if you really want to, but YouTube doesn't even show that anymore. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting off topic. Yeah, this is what happens. It's 1:40 a.m. right now, and yeah. I'm like literally sitting in front of my computer and all I keep seeing is Rainbow Sparkle Rain Shimmer Dust, Rainbow Sparkle Rain Shimmer Dust, and I'm like, oh my gosh, if I have to see this any longer, I'm gonna just lose it. But what's left to lose? Alright guys, I am wrapping this video up. It is already way too long. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Stay awesome everybody, and bye bye!